When you're running policy functions multiple times, it can have an effect on the performance. So you want to control the performance of the policy functions by configuring how the database caches the Oracle VPD. And with it, you have options available. You can have evaluate the policy once for each query. You can have it evaluate the policy only when the application context within the policy changes, or evaluate the policy each time it's run. When you look at using the views, then the view object is going to limit what users can see and what they can do with the existing data. For example, hiding columns or rows from the account. You would use the create view statement to create the data view. Views can become hard to administer, so the solution would be to use the virtual private database. Implementation is limited and requires careful design and development so that there's no confusion on how the setup is being implemented. So for greater security, the VPD policy function runs as if it had been declared within the defined rights. With that, then you use the system function user. It's going to return from that the database user, and you can look at using this to implement the row-based security. With that, when you implement the row-based security with the views, it's going to need a column in your table space for the row's owner, and it's going to preference it with the CTL for the control. So the steps that you would need to do is go in for the table and have a column that's got the CTL underscore UPT underscore user, and within that then you would create the database users in the database. You would create the view users to access the table, and then you would test the code, log on as one of the users and do some actions, and then log in as a different user and test the actions and compare to make sure you've set it up properly. So you can use the application contents with the VPD policies. You would create an application content, and then it's going to securely cache the user information. That would cause that only the designated application package can set the cache environment. It cannot be changed by the user or outside of the package. With this, because the data is cached, performance would be increased. So it's specifically functional with Oracle. It allows you to set the database application variables that can be retrieved by the session. The variable can be used for security content space or user-defined environmental attributes. The dynamic performance view would be your V $session, and the function would be the sys_content. This is going to be really helpful if your security policies is based on multiple security attributes. An example, if you have a policy function that's based on the where and has 4 attributes such as employee name, costs, center, position, spending limit, etc. Then the multiple subqueries would be executed to retrieve the information. So instead, this data is available through an application content, and the performance is much faster. You can use it to return the correct security policy and enforcing the policy that way. So if you consider an order entry application that enforces rules that customers only see their own orders, clerks see all the orders for all customers, then there are 2 different policies. So you could define an application content position attribute, and this attribute would be accessed within the policy function to return the correct information depending on the value of the attribute. So you're enabling the user clerk to retrieve all the orders, but then the user that's a customer position would only see the records that were associated for that particular customer. With that, then you're controlling what can be done with the PL/SQL package. Example steps that you would use using the DB-sec that has privileges to create the tables and other database objects. Then you would go in using the app content users, and in this example we're looking at the order table that I was describing.